This is an eye lesson that will help to possibly free up your neck, range of motion, stiffness, and open your peripheral vision. Okay, so go ahead and lie down on your back on a mat or rug. And for this lesson, I encourage you to put something under your knees. So it could be a couple pillows from your bed or a bolster. This is a very mini clip of a longer lesson that I teach. So first, set yourself up comfortably. Having something under your knees will help your low back to relax even more. And then close your eyes, come inside, and just notice which way your nose is pointed. If you could imagine that there's a pencil coming out like Pinocchio from the very tip of your nose, which way would the pencil tip be pointed towards? More to the right or more to the left? And I have a visual here, but you could just use your imagination. And also, which way are your eyes veering? Is it the same direction as your nose or different? And you may also make note of what part of the back of your head is most in contact with the ground. And as we're going along here, we want to just observe without judgment, simply noticing things as they are, accepting them as they are. And do a very brief body scan. Notice if you have any tension in your jaw, around your eye muscles or your face. And of course, you want to let that go the best you can. And very gently roll your head just once to the right and once to the left, staying in the range of comfort and ease. Just notice how far you could easily go to each direction. And also notice, do any of the vertebrae in your neck come along or in your upper chest? Okay, come back to the center and take a rest. We're going to focus just on the eyes. So I'd like you to take your eyes in a straight line. Imagine them as if your eyeball was a beach ball floating on the horizon. And see if you can nice and slow float it to the left. And then come back to the center. How straight was that line? Was there any jerkiness in it? If there was any jerkiness, you want to try to iron out that jerkiness. So do it nice and slow. Going to the left in your head, stay stationary. Just your eyes are moving in the sockets. Do it one more time and then take a rest. If you have a tendency towards headaches, or if you're even feeling a pre-headache, you may want to wait to do this lesson or just do a few movements of this lesson. So now I want you to go ahead and take your eyes in the same direction to the left, but this time allow your head to come along for the ride. So take your eyes and head to the left and back to the center. Eyes and head to the left. Do that 5 or 6 times, but you're welcome to stop anytime, even before I make mention to take a break. And as you roll one more time to the left, notice what parts of you come along, what parts of your neck, what parts of your upper back, chest. Okay, now just rest your head and notice which way your head and nose is veering now. You may be a little bit more in the direction of the left, and that's fine. Take a deep breath. These pauses allow us to integrate the new movements. Okay, now take your left hand and point your index finger towards the ceiling. And imagine drawing a line on the ceiling in a straight line to the left. And I want you to keep your eyes glued to the tip of the finger. So the eyes and the finger are going to the left and then back to the center. Now, if you're having shoulder pain, you could refrain from doing this. So just do it one more time. Eyes and the fingertip going to the left, and your head could come along for the ride to the left. And then let that go. Let your arm rest long and take a break. Take a rest. And notice now, what is the difference in how the left shoulder and shoulder blade is making contact with the ground versus the right? Go ahead and roll your head just one time to the left and then one time to the right, as you might feel a more significant difference in the ease of rotation now. Let's make note of this because this is a very easy, simple, quick lesson you could do throughout your day. Now, I believe a lot of people have neck stiffness and tightness or pain because they're using their head and neck in isolation. So we want more parts of your vertebra and your torso to come along to support the movement of your head. So eventually your head and neck can simply be carried. Now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So let's start by imagining the eyeball in the socket very gently floating to the right and then coming back to the center. Do it 3 more times, but see how smooth you can make the movement of your eyes. Quality over quantity. And your head is staying stationary at first. Okay, now allow your head to go ahead and come along for the ride. So you're taking your eyes to the right and your head is rolling to the right along with your eyes. Do it 2 more times. Make sure to refrain from forcing anything. But if it feels like it's getting easier, you could go a little further with your neck rotation. Do it 1 last time and then bring your head back to the center. Pause. Now go ahead and point that right finger tip straight in your elbow, point it towards the ceiling. Imagine there's a bug you're pointing out on the ceiling. And imagine your eyes looking at the tip of your finger. If you want, you could open your eyes for the first one. And then take your right finger to the right. Allow your eyes to follow. And allow your head to come along for the ride, going to the right and back to the center. Do this just 2 more times because we want to refrain from fatiguing your shoulder. And the last time, go ahead and go a little further to the right with your arm, your eyes, and your head. Come back to the center and let it all go. Take a rest. And see now what's the difference in how your right shoulder blade is making contact with the ground versus the left. And now we're going to break up our coordination patterns, and this step is completely optional. So we're going to take our eyes and our head in opposite directions. So I want you to imagine this the first time. Imagine you're going to float your eyes to the right and roll your head to the left. And then imagine you're going to float your eyes to the left and roll your head to the right. Come back to the center with both. And when you're ready, go ahead and perform this movement just a few times. Go slow, equal and opposite timing. If you get tripped up or confused, then pause, take a couple breaths, and then return to it. If people have eye strain or headaches, then they will find this movement very difficult. Okay, last one. Come back to the center, take a break. If you feel your eyes got a little strained or tired from that one, when you come back to this lesson, it may be better just to think through that movement. It's one of those movements that could be really rewarding as far as giving you more range of motion and more freedom in your visual field, or it could be headache provoking depending on how much muscle effort you use. Okay, now we're going to go back to the original motion, which is taking your eyes and your head to the left. This time, let's take your eyes and your head together to the left. Come back to the center and let's take your eyes and your head to the right. Now we're going together. Do it 1 more time to each side. And then come back to the center. Take a breath. And that was the last movement, but we're going to do a body scan now. Just notice which direction your nose is pointed now. If it feels more like it's in the middle. And how about your eyes? So many of us have an eye dominance and a hand dominance, that being right eye and hand dominance. And that often brings our world more to the right. Or maybe we're using the mouse or the stick shift, whatever reason. The world is basically set up more for right-handeders. And so it's really important that we find our balance and we find our symmetry. Notice how your shoulder blades are lying. And one more time, take your head, roll your head to each direction, going slow with ease. And notice if you could go further this time than you did initially. Is it easier to roll to the right? Is it easier to roll to the left than it was initially? Come back to the center. Take a complete final rest, just noticing any changes in your body. Now, go ahead and push that roller away or the pillows. Bend your knees, stand your feet. I sometimes like to windshield wiper my knees, once to the left and once to the right, just to kind of loosen up my low back and connect it into the upper part we were just working with. And then go ahead and roll to one side. Either side is fine. And the upper arm, use that hand. And the lower arm, use the upper part of that arm from the elbow to the shoulder. And you're going to use these parts of your arms to push yourself up to sitting. Your head comes up last. Allow your head to simply be carried up to sitting. You could take a moment in sitting, especially as you might be a little bit lightheaded. And when you're ready, you could come up to standing. Find your balance in standing. And you might notice that you're even more balanced over your 2 feet, and that's super amazing. And then go for a walk around the room. Notice what changes you feel in your body